Welcome back. I got some Reddit stories for you, not safe for work kind of material. I kind of enjoy listening to the not safe for work ones. This one is, what is the craziest thing you've done for hormones? What's the craziest thing you've done out of pure hormones? I like to put hormones. I was going to say loneliness. But let's check it out. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's see what's some of the crazy stuff that the people have done.
What is the craziest thing you've done out of pure... Story 1. A few years ago, I had this girlfriend, the primary antagonist of the story, who was, let's say, not quite as balanced as some people. Now, I'm not one to badmouth an ex, but she was a pretty angry young lady, and I was a rather untrustworthy young man. You can probably see where this is heading. After about 5 or 6 months together, I decided to call it quits. We parted on relatively amicable terms. By relatively amicable, I mean we continued getting intimate for months afterward, even into the beginning of my next relationship. This arrangement seemed to suit me more than it suited her. She would fly into a rage at the mere mention of my new girlfriend's name, but she was still willing to keep our ongoing situation secret. This little setup carried on for a few weeks until one night at a house party with most of our mutual friends, though not my girlfriend at the time. We got into an argument about how we should behave in public. She wanted us to look like we were still together, and I definitely didn't. She stormed off. Enter her best friend. One thing led to another, and as young hormone-fueled 20-somethings, we hit it off. During the act, we caught glimpses of my ex storming around the house in an increasingly agitated state. I can only assume someone told her I was last seen with her.
What is the animation going on? That's what I'm watching. I've done lost track of the story. The guy has a girlfriend and he's hooking up with another girl. Is that what I'm catching? So yeah, he is not faithful at all. I'm beginning to think, was she really angry or did you make her angry? But yeah, I'm more interested in the story going on.
Best friend. And since neither of us were anywhere to be found, she put 2 and 2 together. When it was all over, her best friend and I eventually returned to the party. Cue my ex bursting into the kitchen, red-faced and screaming. I suspect she had planned to wait for me in a bedroom, but changed her mind after finding out who I was with. She came tearing in, and in a flurry of nails and teeth actually managed to scratch us and even tried to bite my ear Mike Tyson style. To wrap this up, I made sure her best friend was okay, she went home, and my ex eventually cooled off. She became embarrassed and remorseful, and somehow we ended up in bed together again. At the end of the night. Edit, for those calling me an awful cheating scumbag, you're right. At the time, I was. We all do things in life we're not proud of, and I certainly wouldn't behave the same way now. We live, we learn. I'm sure you've got your own regrets too. Before we continue, do us a quick favor. Smash that like button and subscribe to support our channel. Story 2. Drive 400 plus miles in the dead of winter through the darkness from Fairbanks to Anchorage in a 76 Pinto for a sure thing. I should also mention my roommate, my best friend from high school, Palmer, Alaska. While I made this trip once, he did essentially the same trip every single weekend in a 68 Plymouth Valiant. He'd head back to Palmer every Friday afternoon right after his last class and return early Monday morning. I'd often see him through the window of my first Monday class, pulling in.
What the hell am I looking at? I want to know the story of the animation. What is going on? If everyone knows what this animation or the stop motion is, let me know. Seriously, what is going on?
To the parking lot and sprinting to his own. Story 3. In college, I skipped...
Wait, story 2. I have no clue what was going on in story 2. I was too busy watching that stuff. Okay. There we go.
Miles in the dead of winter through the darkness from Fairbanks to Anchorage in a 76 Pinto for a sure thing. I should also mention my roommate, my best friend from high school, Palmer, Alaska. While I made this trip once, he did essentially the same trip every single weekend in a 68 Plymouth Valiant. He'd head back to Palmer every Friday afternoon right after his last class and return early Monday morning. I'd often see him through the window of my first Monday class, pulling into the parking lot and sprinting to his own. Story 3. In college, I skipped classes with my boyfriend at the time. We had recently started dating, and we were just inseparable. We went to his house and did everything we could think of. Around noon, we realized we needed a shower. In the middle of the shower, something unexpected happened.
So again, I'm watching stop motion. So he dreamt the wolf became a woman. They got married and had kids. So it was all a dream that we just watched. This should put something else on back there because the story behind there seems more interesting.
Happened. A knock at the bathroom door. It was my boyfriend's mother. We finished our shower, and honestly, since I had run into the bathroom, we only had a few pieces of clothing with us. He was terrified of being caught in a clearly compromising situation. He knew his mom was heavily religious and didn't approve of bringing a girl home. All of this was whispered frantically while we were trapped in the bathroom. He decided to wrap a towel around himself and leave the bathroom in his freshly showered state, explaining that he had left school sick. No big deal, right? His mom was sick too, so she bought his story, but she needed the bathroom immediately. When he left, I climbed into the still wet tub, wrapped in a towel and the few clothes we had brought, his shirt and shorts. I was freezing. The shower curtain was opaque and pulled shut, hiding me. Then she burst into the bathroom. I feared the worst, but she stopped at the toilet. I thought, thank God she just needs to pee. Oh no, this story doesn't work like that. She unleashed herself like a landslide. The sound made me flinch, and I can't even imagine how she survived that without flashbacks. She sat there for an excruciating 25 minutes. The smell was intense. I stayed still the entire time because the power of embarrassment outweighed the fear of being caught, and at that point I was terrified of the consequences either way. Eventually I escaped. My boyfriend apologized. Scary stuff. Literally. Story 4. When I was 19, I stole my parents' car, drove it 70+ miles, and slept with my now wife for the first time. Here's the backstory. My wife and I first met at a park.
Don't really need the backstory. That was the story. That was the whole story. No backstory needed. All right.
In my hometown while she was visiting a friend. I just walked up, asked for her number, and from there we casually talked for about a year. Eventually, we started dating long distance. Granted, 70 miles isn't that far, but when you're 19 with no job and no car, it feels like a world away. One night, we were both really in the mood, and I said, screw it. I grabbed my stepdad's car keys and hit the road at 11 p.m. I drove the 70 miles, met up with her, and we finally did the deed. We hung out for a few hours, talked, laughed, and then it was time for me to leave. Around 3:30 a.m., I started driving back, nearly falling asleep at the wheel, and almost crashing at least half a dozen times. I got home around 4:30 a.m., barely an hour before my stepdad woke up for work. I crawled into bed, got maybe 3 hours of sleep, and went to class with nightmares still stuck in my head. Dreams about crashing, getting caught, getting arrested. I still remember them vividly. That night ended up being one of the most memorable of my life. If I hadn't taken that risk, I don't know if I would have had the courage to do it again and again and again. After that, I started sneaking out about twice a month to make the drive to see her. That was about 10 years ago. Since
I don't understand this. You're 19. What do you need to sneak out? Just be like, hey, I need to borrow the car. Unless your stepdad didn't want you touching his car. What kind of car was it? Is it his only car? Is it his work car? How many cars are there? That would be the thing. It's like, put gas in it. You know, if we have just one car, then yeah, no, I'm not letting you take it. If you're going to be going that far away. I know 70 miles isn't a lot, but still, you know, something happens, we don't have a car and you're nowhere near. You know, we got to wait an hour for you to get back. So, yeah. That's why I don't get the whole sneaking. I thought it was going to be like a high school kid, but no, you're 19. Just ask. Unless you and your stepdad don't get along. That's the only reason I think you were still in the car. If you and your stepdad don't get along, what's to say he won't call the cops on you when he wakes up one night to go to the bathroom and realizes the car is gone? It's like, I don't get it.
rough patches, good days, and bad days, but we've kept working at it. We love each other, and that's what matters. Thanks for listening to our story. Story 5. Made me dig out one of my old external HDDs. Surely the video I wanted to nut to had to be on there. It wasn't. Then I had a flash. It might be on an old laptop. I hunted that thing down, but of course no power supply. Dug through 2 boxes of random cables and finally found one. Booted the laptop up. CMOS failure warning. Clock didn't work. But whatever, it still ran. I started digging through vaguely named folders on the desktop and sure enough, found the video pretty quickly. Migrated it to the external HDD. I could have just nutted in place on the old laptop, but no, I was committed. I needed to make sure this treasure would be accessible going forward. Hooked up the external HDD to my current laptop.
That's a lot. I do remember a long time ago I used to download videos. After before high-speed internet was accessible to everyone the way it is now, because you really had to kind of download them, because otherwise you'd be there for hours. But yeah, to go to that extreme. I don't think I have any of them all the way down. I think it was on an old hard drive. It's gone, long gone. So yeah.
Queued up the video
But
and
this is a
nutted
lot.
like no tomorrow. Honestly, it was insanely satisfying given how much effort it took to track down. This was just a few weeks ago. Story 6. Not my story, but a friend's. He came home early from school, and since his parents weren't around and it was that kind of day, he decided to choke the living hell out of his chicken in his dad's office, completely bare. About 5 minutes in, the front door opened. His parents were home. Panic mode. He dove into his dad's closet, which of course was still in the office. For the next hour, he stood there trembling, peeking through the crack in the door, while his dad sat a few feet away on a business call. Eventually, when his dad stepped into the kitchen, he managed to slip upstairs and escape. Physically, he got away unscathed. Mentally, well, that's another story. I think him getting caught in the act would be less embarrassing than found.
Why was he in his dad's office? That's my first question. Why the dad have the only computer? Why the dad's office? Was that part of the experience? Oh, my dad, I'm doing this in my dad's office. Why the dad's office?
Found in the closet in that situation after an hour. Story 7. When I was younger, my problem wasn't getting access to corn, it was keeping access to it. We had a desktop computer, but I only had so many chances each week to use it alone, so I stumbled into a devious little system to make sure I always had corn on me without anyone knowing. I had an iPod video, the one with the scroll wheel. At the time, that thing was slick. I'd already figured out how I could access the file directory. I'd create fake text files.
That reminds me. I used to buy old iPods and fix them up and sell them. I had fun doing it, but it got kind of tedious. But I would pull the saved stuff. I figured out how to access the internal memory and pull everything off of them. I came across some nude photos a couple times, and that's also how I built up my music library because of that as well. So yeah, those iPods, people were using them not just for music.
With a bunch of lorem ipsum, then bury the corn text halfway through. That worked for a while, but eventually it wasn't cutting it anymore. I wanted videos. Now, my parents would have killed me if I had them on my phone, and since my family also used my iPod to watch movies, the risk of being caught was huge, so I got creative. First step, I made a folder called Super Secret Dog Videos. Then I filmed a ton of footage of my dog, like way more than necessary. Hours of it. Boring, repetitive, dumb little clips. I filled the folder with those so it looked like I was just a kid playing secret agent with some harmless project. Next step, hide the corn. Instead of just dropping in a file, name something obvious like casual conversation over tea with smoldering looks of possible romance 3, I went overboard. I spliced it into the dog videos. I'd take a long, dull shot of my dog lying around. Then halfway through, suddenly titties.
That's a bit much. That's a bit much. You could just hide the folder. I believe you can do that even on the Mac. You can hide the folder. Just hide it.
Do was scrub through until the real content appeared, but to anyone else, it was just hours of boring dog footage they'd never bother to sit through. And that was it. My secret dream accomplished. Looking back, if I'd been even half as motivated in school as I was in figuring out how to smuggle corn onto an iPod, I probably would have been a straight A student. Story 8. Years ago, I was hanging out with a coworker and we started playing Bang, Marry, Kill with people from work. She told me her choice for Bang, and when I told her mine, she was surprised. He wasn't particularly handsome, but he was exactly my type. She casually goes, "I have his phone number, you know." Up to that point, I'd never spoken to him outside of work, and barely even inside of work. But one night, around 1 a.m., I just texted him, "Hey, wanna bang?" He was shocked, kept laughing, saying, "Where the hell did this come from?" But he wasn't exactly unwilling. I imagine that's some guy's fantasy, that one day, a coworker he barely knows will just text him out of nowhere and ask if he wants to do the deed. Well, I'm here to tell you, it can happen. It has happened. Story 9. My girlfriend at the time was in college. Her parents did.
That reminds me, like afterwards, after you work somewhere, or even after school, after you graduate high school, you find out all these girls liked you, and it's like, that has actually happened where I find out girls liked me. It's like, doesn't do me no good now. Why are you telling me this now? It's useless to me. Been married 20 plus years. Why are you telling me? Don't tell me. I would prefer if you didn't tell me.
didn't want her dating anyone, but for some reason her mom actually liked me, like Bake Me Chex Mix and Rice Krispie treats like. I had never met her dad though, and she made it very clear that it was probably best if I didn't. Even though she was grown, she still lived with her parents, and sneaking me in was definitely not something that was going to fly. Because of this, I only ever came over when her dad wasn't home. That worked fine, until one night when he came home unexpectedly while we were in her room. He always said hi to her the second he walked in the door since she was his baby. The second she realized he was home, she panicked and whispered, "Holy shit, hide." Immediately I knew there was no way I was fitting in her closet or under the bed. The bathroom wasn't attached, so there was no escape route. I honestly thought I was about to end up fighting an old white dude in his own house. Thinking fast, I told her to wrap
I want to assume he's not white.
herself in a towel and answer the door like she had just gotten out of the shower. That way he wouldn't come in. Meanwhile, I'd hide behind the door and try the Drax approach, stay completely still and pretend to be invisible. He knocked almost immediately. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I threw a black jacket over my head since there's always that crack at the hinge side of the door and slid into position. She opened the door. He talked to her for maybe 20 seconds, but it felt like a lifetime. I was sure at any second he'd look over, see me, and choke the life out of me. Eventually, he left. She shut the door and we sat there waiting for him to go upstairs so I could make my escape. But he never did. For whatever reason that night he decided to stay up past midnight watching a movie, so she locked her door and we just passed out. The next morning, his routine saved me. He always grabbed the paper and spent like 45 minutes on the toilet. During that window, her mom came into the room, woke me up, and literally snuck me out of the house.
Go, Mom. I'm like, get the fuck out now.
Before dropping me off at school. Crisis averted. Story 10. I had been vigorously texting and video chatting with this guy for a few months, and he mentioned that he lived in Pennsylvania. Coincidentally, my grandparents lived there too, and my parents and siblings were planning a summer trip to visit them for a few weeks. I hadn't planned on going at first, but I ended up tagging along on a 16-hour car ride each way, just for the chance to finally meet and hook up with this guy. Once we got there, I spent about $200 on bus tickets and a hotel, since he lived a few hours away from my grandparents.
What game is this? Anyone know what game this is? Again, the background images are more entertaining than these stories, by the way. Seriously. Pick a different background video to be playing, because I'm watching the videos not paying attention.
To make it all work, I crafted a whole elaborate lie for my parents. I told them I had an old friend in Pennsylvania I wanted to visit, and I even had one of my real friends back home cover for me and pretend I was with them. All in all, I spent around 32 hours in the car, 6 hours on buses and waiting, and a good chunk of money just to get laid. And now, that guy is my boyfriend, and our 2-year anniversary is coming up. Story 11. One time, I met a guy online during my lunch break.
I think it's interesting that you also have the girls telling stories, things they've done. So guys and girls will do stupid things just to get a little something.
Off work at 10 p.m., we decided to meet up. He sent me his address, which was about a 45-minute drive from me. My GPS got messed up on the way, but I knew I was close to his house, so I called him to ask for directions from where I was. Up on the way, sent me his address during my lunch break. After I got off work at 10 p.m., we decided to meet up. He sent me his address during my lunch. Is coming up. Story 11. One time, I met a guy online during my lunch break. After I got off work at 10 p.m., we decided to meet up. He sent me his address, which was about a 45-minute drive.
I think what made me start was I wasn't sure if they said they were a boy or a girl. I was just curious about that. Where I just said, the girls are telling their stories. So I was kind of curious on this one. Doesn't say, so it could be two dudes or it could be a guy and a girl. Who knows?
From me. My GPS got messed up on the way, but I knew I was close to his house, so I called him to ask for directions from where I was. After driving around for another 20 minutes while listening to his directions on the phone, I realized I had ended up back at the same intersection I was at when I first called him. I finally found his house about 30 minutes later. All I wanted was a blowy, but this guy wanted to go to the 24-hour Starbucks down the street. We got coffee and sat down.
All right, so it is two dudes.
About 15-20 minutes of chatting, I realized I had houseplants with more personality than him, but whatever, I just wanted what I came for. We finally went back to his place and headed to his room. He lay down on the bed and turned on the TV. After a few awkward minutes, I started hearing soft snores. By this point, I was getting really annoyed. I woke him up and asked, "Are we going boink or not?" We finally started fooling around, when suddenly his mom busted through the door. She let out the most horrific scream I have ever heard and slammed the door. I was so irritated by all the interruptions. He looked terrified. I asked, "You live with your mom?" He said yes, and that she didn't know I'm gay. I said, "Well, she's going to know now. You might as well finish." He responded, "You better leave before my dad wakes up." I was like, "What the hell, dude? You're like 30, get your life together, or at least get a lock on your door." So I had to leave around 2 a.m., drive 45 minutes home, and take care of myself.
Oh my God. That's, that's so messed up. That is so messed up.
12. His brother was dating a girl whose mother did not want her daughter dating him because of this reputation.
What the hell kind of writing was that? I don't think English is their first language.
Continued to have a secret fling. Cue huge blizzard and our doorbell being rung at 3 a.m. on a Friday. My mom and dad woke up and I heard my mom, pissed off, go answer the door. Half asleep, I got up and sat at the top of the stairs to see what was going on. It was a cop with my brother. My mom nearly fainted. The cop said he was patrolling the area and saw a bike ditched on the side of the road, so thought some homeless person was stuck in a blizzard. Drove the patrol car a few miles up the road to a local park and saw my brother with just a sweater and a backpack on. What was in the backpack? A mega box of rubber with like 30 rubbers. My brother literally snuck out of the house, rode his bike with just a sweater on in the middle of a blizzard, ditched it and proceeded to walk 1-2 miles to meet his girlfriend at a park because they both had planned to bang in the park in the middle of a blizzard. She never even showed up. Did they really expect to boink in a mountain of snow? Better yet, did my brother really think he'd need 30 rubbers? Lamau. To this day, I absolutely love bringing it up. I was always getting in trouble.
I want to know what happened to the girlfriend. Did she just chicken out? Or did she set him up?
And my brother was the family angel. So the entire night as my mom and dad screamed at him, I sat there with a grin. Story 13. A few months ago, I matched with this girl on Tinder. We talked on and off for a bit and eventually planned a date. At the last minute, she cancels and says a friend of hers is running away from his parents' house and needs a place to crash, so she offered him her place. I don't hear from her for a week or two. Then one day, after I get off work, she texts me, "I want you to come over and spend the night." Of course, I jumped on that. I get to the university, she was living on campus, pay for parking, and walk 15 minutes in minus 30-degree weather to her dorm complex.
This is a setup. This sounds like a setup.
I see her standing in the doorway on the phone. She invites me in, shuts the door behind me, and continues her conversation without even acknowledging me. She's screaming and yelling, and the first thing I hear her say is, "Tell him if he wants his bong, he's going to have to come here and get it." Red flag number 1 went off immediately, but I stayed. Eventually, she catches her breath and says hi. Then she goes on to tell me how she caught the friend who was staying with her smoking Zaza in her room the night before, kicked him out, and then had a big fight that morning when he came back to pick up his stash. The cops had to come. There I am, standing in the doorway, shoes still on, just watching her pace back and forth, telling me all.
Why did she even call you over? That makes no sense. Don't call me over if we're not going to do it. We met on Tinder, man. Don't waste my time.
If you want to go, you can. I wouldn't blame you, she says. But for some reason, I take my shoes off and hug her. She takes me upstairs. Before we even get into her room to watch Netflix, she gathers all of this dude's stuff and puts it on a bookshelf. She's a casual stoner herself and even debates keeping the bong because it's a nice looking bong or whatever. I tell her it's a bad idea to keep it. She just looks at the bong, then smashes it against the wall. Glass shatters everywhere. She leaves it on the carpet. We go into her room and watch Bob's Burgers on Netflix. Meanwhile, the dude is spamming her texts about how he and some friends are going to come over and off her. I'm lying there thinking, do I leave and continue living my life, or do I stay and protect this girl in case they actually try to pay her a visit?
Get the hell out. You don't know this girl. That's why I said, is this a setup? He's getting set up.
I decided to stay. We mess around, and let me tell you, that was the longest 45 minutes of my life. I didn't enjoy it at all. Every car driving by had me freaking out. We lie there for a few minutes. She's giddy and happy. Then she looks at her phone, goes completely deadpan, changes into different clothes and leaves the room. I'm just sitting there confused. I throw my clothes on, walk downstairs, and she's in the kitchen making spaghetti. I kept asking if she was okay. She keeps saying she's fine, just tired, and tells me I can leave if I want. She doesn't even look at me. I do a quick walkthrough of the house and wipe down everything I touched, just in case, then throw my shoes on and leave. Haven't seen her since, but she's on Instagram and seems alive, so I guess that's good. Story 14. I took a bus from Bucharest.
That story was stupid, man. You risked your life for a little something, and you didn't even get to enjoy it. That was stupid on your part. You were stupid.
Chisinau, Moldova. I had started messaging this girl before I left. I got there later than expected, had to eat, and walked a couple miles to my hotel. By the time I was ready to meet up, my friend was going to bed, and it was after midnight. The girl still wanted to meet, which didn't seem that odd. It was a Saturday night. She said she'd take a taxi to meet me in front of the university, only a couple blocks away. She had been flirting a lot. While I had second thoughts, my little guy was pretty certain she just wanted to get intimate and might even come back to the hotel quickly. Her profile had slightly suggestive pictures from the neck down and a fake name, which in my past experience usually meant I just want to boink and don't want my friends or family to know. In hindsight, that probably should have been a red flag. So I'm walking south.
Again, I'm still watching the animation game. I'm in and out of the story.
Down Alexei Mativici Street, and I haven't seen a single soul the entire walk. Near the front steps of Moldova University, a car comes toward me going north. Definitely not a taxi, as I'd been told. Suddenly, I have this sneaking suspicion my little guy has led me astray. Wouldn't be the first time. I keep walking past the car. The street is narrow, so it would have to make a 3-point turn, giving me plenty of time to bolt. The car pulls over, but no one gets out, and I'm too far away to see what's happening inside. I start walking a little faster and preemptively cross the street. Now I'm nearing the northwest corner of Matovici and Pushkin, and I hear rustling from the northeast corner. A guy comes climbing out from under a bush and puts on a backpack. He's making a horrible attempt at being inconspicuous. I'm nearly at the southeast corner when I see in my peripheral that he's heading toward me. I'm genuinely baffled, but I start walking faster. He does too. Finally, my desire to live supersedes my curiosity, and I run faster than his malnourished Moldovan bones can manage. And if you think that experience deterred me,
Nope.
You don't know why they call me Pesky Boner. Thank you for watching. If you
Yeah, some of those were good. You guys got any stories you want to share? What's the craziest thing you've done for loneliness? I back before social media, instant messaging was kind of taking off. Yahoo had an instant messenger I used to use, and I discovered you could use it to meet girls. And so I would meet girls on that, and I met a lot of girls, and had a lot of fun. So yeah, and then there's also when AOL had instant messaging. ICQ, is that what it was called? Adult Friend Finder. I wonder, is that still around? What was it? There was another one. I think, was it MSN messaging? I was on all of them. I discovered you can meet people on all of them, and because it used to tell you like where they are, how close they are to you, and all that stuff. I was like, this is awesome, and I would just randomly go through. Girls would post their pictures and stuff like that, and I would just go through and message them, and then we hook up. So I was doing that stuff long before it was popular. So what things did you guys do? Yeah, but some of those stories, don't risk your life, people. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Anyways, don't forget to like and subscribe, and everyone take care. Later.